Hello and welcome to the day ahead. It is Friday, May the 22nd. I'm Andrew Gagan. Well, the local market is set to build on yesterday's gains with ASX futures up 0.4%. Investor sentiment wavered overnight amid mixed messages from both sides of the Middle East conflict as they look to find a peace agreement, but most major indices finished in the green. Oil prices fell further, which buoyed stocks on Wall Street, with the Dow closing at a record high. Investors also reacted to the latest earnings, with Walmart shares tumbling after the world's largest retailer forecast second quarter profit below estimates as its consumers feel cost of living pressures, with the company expecting higher retail price inflation over the remainder of the year. Shares of Nvidia fell as investors took profits after the world's most valuable company and AI leaders better than expected second quarter revenue forecast, an $80 billion share repurchase program. IBM shares surged after securing $1 billion funding from the Trump administration to build a foundry for producing quantum computing chips, with the US government awarding funding to more than half a dozen other companies in exchange for stakes in some of the firms. Intuit shares plunged 20% after the software maker lowered the annual revenue forecast for its tax filing software. They said it would cut 17% of its full-time workforce, and that dragged shares of tax agent H&R Block lower. Farm equipment maker Deere maintained its full-year profit forecast despite topping second quarter estimates as it contends with weak demand. And Ralph Lauren shares surged after the apparel brand beat quarterly revenue estimates, buoyed by strong sales in China. Well, the US and Iran remain at odds over Iran's uranium stockpile and controls on the Strait of Hormuz, although the US Secretary of State Marco Rubio said there had been some good signs in talks. President Trump said the US will eventually recover Iran's stockpile of highly enriched uranium, saying, "We will get it, we don't need it, we don't want it, we'll probably destroy it after we get it, but we're not going to let them have it." And he said the US strikes on Iran would resume if he does not get the right answers from Iran's leadership, while Iran's Revolutionary Guards have warned that that would trigger retaliation beyond its region. Well, US manufacturing activity expanded in May by the most in 4 years as customers strive to get ahead of the mounting price pressures tied to the Iran war. The S&P Global Flash May Factory Purchasing Managers Index rose 0.8 points to remain in expansionary territory as manufacturing gets a temporary boost from the conflict. US 2-year Treasury yield was at 4.05%, the 10-year slipped to 4.56%, the benchmark US 30-year fixed rate mortgage rate has risen to 6.51%. Australian 3-year government bond yields were around 4.6%, the 10-year down to 4.96%. And in the wake of the jump in the unemployment rate to 4.5% in April, markets are now pricing in just a 10% chance that the RBA cash rate will be hiked by 25 basis points at the next meeting in June. The US dollar index is up slightly, the Aussie dollar currently trading at 71.5 US cents. Oil prices were volatile but ended lower on optimism over progress in US-Iran negotiations. Brent initially declined 2% but has since risen to $104 a barrel. Gold is steady at around $4,545 an ounce. Copper futures fell 0.5%, iron ore down 1.5% to 108 US a tonne, and Bitcoin currently trading at around $77,500 US. Ahead locally today, Bendigo and Adelaide Bank is set to report results. That is your day ahead. We'll see you again on Monday.